The biting force of the water, a high-pressure jet slammed into Dr. Simone Laurent's face, her chest stealing her breath. She gasped, a choked, desperate sound as the sheer velocity of the spray knocked her backward, sending her tumbling onto the immaculately manicured lawn of her own home. The cool, shocking impact of the water was relentless, a violent assault that plastered her silk blouse to her skin, soaking her vintage denim jeans. Above her, a figure loomed, a monstrous shadow against the morning sun, manipulating the green garden hose with a vicious delight, transforming a tool of nurture into a weapon. "You think I'm stupid?" Officer Derek Whitmore's voice, distorted by a feral laugh, cut through the rush of water. He stepped closer, the stream intensifying. "Black woman in a $500,000 neighborhood. You're either a maid or a thief. Which one?" Simone struggled, her hands instinctively rising to shield her face, but the deluge was overwhelming. Water choked her words, her pleas swallowed by the relentless assault. "Please, officer," she managed, her voice cracking, "I own this home." Whitmore merely laughed again, a cold, venomous sound that curdled the crisp June air. "Own it, you?" he sneered. "Maybe I should call immigration. Check if you're even legal." 40 seconds. 40 agonizing seconds of water pounding, drowning her as she lay helpless, shivering, unable to breathe, unable to speak. Yet, even through the blur of water and humiliation, a primal fire ignited deep within her. Across the street, the gentle hum of morning life had fractured. Neighbors, drawn by the escalating commotion, spilled from their homes, phones raised, every lens a silent witness, capturing the brutal tableau. Finally, the relentless spray ceased. Silence, heavy and charged, descended, broken only by Simone's ragged gasps. She sat there, drenched, mascara streaming down her face like black tears, a figure of utter destruction. But then, slowly, deliberately, she began to rise. Her hand, trembling slightly, reached into her back pocket, retrieving something small, metallic. The object, gleaming faintly in the morning light, seemed to suck the color from Whitmore's face, making him stumble back a step, a sudden, desperate plea forming on his lips. It was a Wednesday morning, the 12th of June, in the picturesque city of Portland, Oregon. The sun, a warm, golden orb, was just beginning its ascent over Laurelhurst, one of the city's most coveted and affluent enclaves. Tree-lined streets, ancient oaks reaching skyward, framed the stately craftsman homes, their wraparound porches inviting, their manicured lawns lush and vibrant, costing more to maintain than most people's monthly rent. At 2847 Maple Ridge Drive, a pale yellow two-story house with pristine white trim slumbered peacefully in the soft morning light. A vibrant rose garden, a symphony of reds, pinks, and whites, stretched along the front walkway, every bloom a testament to meticulous care. Red geraniums, bursting with life, sat in terracotta pots, standing sentinel beside the elegant front door. Inside, the kitchen hummed with the quiet ritual of morning. Dr. Simone Laurent, a woman of refined elegance and sharp intellect, poured her second cup of French roast. The rich aroma mingled with the delicate scent of lavender soap, creating a serene domestic symphony. From a discreet speaker on the granite countertop, the soaring strains of Vivaldi, her cherished companion for Wednesday mornings, filled the air. At 42, Simone possessed a timeless grace. Her rich dark curls, a natural crown, were neatly swept back with a cloth headband, her face unadorned by makeup, revealing the quiet strength in her features. Today she wore old, comfortable jeans and a simple cotton blouse, her gardening attire. Her briefcase, a sleek leather testament to her demanding profession, already sat by the door, brimming with weighty case files. Oral arguments, a crucial juncture in a complex federal case, were scheduled for 2 o'clock that afternoon at the federal courthouse downtown. But first, the roses. She glanced at the framed photograph on the refrigerator door. Her and James, radiant and smiling, captured on their 10th wedding anniversary. Dr. James Laurent, her husband, a brilliant cardiothoracic surgeon, had left for the hospital at 6, his Wednesday surgeries notoriously early. Simone walked to the front door, the solid oak cool beneath her fingers, and pushed it open. The morning air, cool and fresh, infused with the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers, greeted her. She breathed deeply, a moment of pure, unadulterated peace. This was her favorite part of the day, a sanctuary before the gavels, the legal briefs, the demanding scrutiny of the courtroom. Just her and her cherished garden. She reached for the green garden hose, neatly coiled by the porch steps, its flexible length familiar in her hand. A twist of the spigot, and water surged through its coils, a gentle hiss preceding the steady flow. Adjusting the nozzle to a soft, nurturing spray, she began her ritual. The roses, thirsty and vibrant, drank deeply, their petals shimmering with morning dew. Simone moved with a quiet, almost reverent grace, attending to each plant, ensuring the rich soil darkened uniformly as the water soaked in. "Good morning, Simone." A cheerful voice, light and familiar, drifted from the neighboring yard. Eleanor Henderson, a spry 78, her white hair neatly pinned, a floral house dress adding a splash of color to the morning, waved from her own rose bushes, her garden hose already in hand. "Morning, Eleanor," Simone called back, a genuine smile gracing her lips. "Your hydrangeas are looking absolutely stunning this year." Eleanor chuckled, a warm, lilting sound. "Oh, yours put mine to shame, dear. That organic fertilizer I recommended? Working like magic, isn't it?" "It truly is. Thank you again." This exchange was their quiet routine, a comfortable rhythm established over 5 years. Sunday afternoon teas, emergency calls when a package needed collecting, Eleanor's watchful eye over the house when Simone and James journeyed to Maui last month. A tapestry of neighborly affection. Simone moved on to the vibrant geraniums, humming softly along to the Vivaldi still playing inside. Her mind, ever sharp, was already a step ahead, meticulously reviewing the day's upcoming federal case, a complex civil rights lawsuit, allegations of grave police misconduct. She needed to be razor sharp, every argument, every nuance rehearsed and ready. She was so engrossed in her internal preparations that she didn't hear the distinct, slow rumble of a patrol car across the street. She didn't see Officer Derek Whitmore, a man whose presence was about to shatter her peaceful morning, gripping the steering wheel, his jaw tight with a simmering, unspoken resentment. Whitmore, 38, with a close-cropped buzz cut and a square, unyielding jaw, had 15 years on the Portland Police Department. He'd seen a lot, done a lot, and in his mind, he knew things. He muttered, "You see that?" His partner, Officer Ryan Mills, a fresh-faced 24-year-old just 8 months out of the academy, looked up from his phone, startled. "See what, Derek?" Mills asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Black woman. Expensive house. Doesn't add up." Whitmore's tone was dismissive, judgmental. Mills shifted uncomfortably in his seat, a nascent unease stirring within him. "Derek, come on," he began. "It's just someone watering their garden in Laurelhurst. This neighborhood—" Whitmore cut him off, abruptly putting the cruiser in the park. "Something's off. I'm checking it out." Mills tried again, a note of desperation in his voice. "The captain said we need to be careful. The community liaison office—" "The liaison office can kiss my ass," Whitmore growled, throwing open his door. "I've been doing this job for 15 years, Mills. I know suspicious when I see it." Mills watched him cross the street, a pit forming in his stomach. He didn't follow. This felt wrong, deeply wrong. But Whitmore was the senior officer, and Mills was still on probation, fresh out of the academy, his career barely begun. Whitmore's boots hit the sidewalk with a hard, deliberate cadence. His hand, a habitual gesture, rested on his belt, hovering near his holstered weapon, near his cuffs, a silent assertion of authority. Simone, startled by the approaching footsteps, glanced up, her calm demeanor momentarily faltering as she saw the uniform, the glint of the badge. She straightened, turning off the gentle spray of the hose. "Good morning, officer. Can I help you?" Her voice, though calm and professional, the same controlled tone she employed in court, couldn't entirely mask the sudden quickening of her pulse. She knew with absolute certainty that she had done nothing wrong. Yet her hands, still clutching the green hose, tightened almost imperceptibly. Whitmore didn't pause at the low, decorative white fence that bordered Simone's property. He didn't ask permission, didn't offer a polite inquiry. Instead, he stepped directly over it, his heavy boots crunching onto her pristine lawn, his shadow falling across the delicate rose bushes. "What are you doing here?" His voice was cold, flat, devoid of any warmth or courtesy. Simone blinked, taken aback by the aggressive tone. "I'm watering my garden," she replied, her confusion evident. "Is there a problem?" He swept his gaze over the elegant house, then back to her, his eyes narrowing with a skeptical, almost accusatory intensity. "This is your house?" The way he emphasized the word "your" was loaded, dripping with disdain, making Simone's skin prickle with a rising indignation. "Yes," she stated, her voice regaining its professional edge. "I live here. Why are you asking?" Whitmore took another deliberate step closer, invading her personal space, using his imposing physical presence to assert dominance. "Ma'am," he began, his voice taking on an irritatingly patronizing tone, "I'm going to need to see some identification." Simone's heart hammered against her ribs. She was a federal judge, a distinguished legal mind. She knew the law, intimately, far better than most attorneys, certainly better than this arrogant officer, and right now he had absolutely no legal basis to demand her identification on her own property. "Officer," she responded, her voice firm, unwavering, "I am on my own property. I am not legally required to show you identification." Whitmore's face hardened, his jaw clenching. "Ma'am, don't make this difficult." "I'm not making anything difficult," Simone retorted, her patience wearing thin. "I am simply asking why you are here, on my property, questioning me." He took another step, closer still. She caught the faint, cloying scent of his cheap, overpowering cologne. His hand remained, almost glued, to his belt. "We've had reports of suspicious activity in this neighborhood," he lied smoothly, his eyes never leaving hers. "I need to verify that you live here." "Suspicious activity?" Simone scoffed, a hint of incredulity in her voice. "I'm watering flowers. That's my suspicious activity?" "Exactly," Whitmore sneered, a cruel glint in his eyes. "You don't look like you belong in this neighborhood." The words hung in the air, sharp, ugly, a toxic poison seeping into the morning calm. Simone's jaw tightened, a familiar, bitter taste rising in her mouth. She'd heard variations of this insidious refrain her entire life, but never, not once, on her own front lawn, in front of her home. "What does someone who belongs here look like, officer?" she challenged, her voice low and dangerous. Whitmore's eyes flashed with a surge of anger. "Don't play games with me. Are you the homeowner or the help?" "Officer, Simone lives there." Eleanor Henderson's indignant voice cut through the tense silence, startling Whitmore. "She's been my neighbor for 5 years." Whitmore spun around, his voice rising in volume and aggression. "Ma'am, step back. This is police business." "Police business?" Eleanor retorted, her frail frame stiffening with righteous anger. "She's watering her own garden." "One more word, and I'll cite you for interfering with an investigation," Whitmore threatened, his face contorted in a sneer. Eleanor's mouth opened, then closed. Instead of speaking, she slowly pulled out her phone, her trembling fingers activating the camera, and began to record. Simone forced her voice to remain level to maintain her composure. "Officer, I'm happy to answer reasonable questions, but you have given me no legal justification for this stop or for your presence on my property." "Legal justification?" Whitmore barked, a harsh, unpleasant laugh escaping his lips. "You want to give me legal advice now?" "I'm simply asserting my rights," Simone stated calmly, though a storm brewed beneath her composed exterior. "Your rights?" He moved even closer, his face inches from hers, his breath hot and stale. "How about I tell you what your rights are? You have the right to cooperate. You have the right to not piss me off. Is that clear enough?" Just then, Mills appeared at the fence line, his young face pale, his eyes wide with alarm. "Derek, maybe we should get back to the car," he suggested, his voice tentative. "Mills, but Captain Reynolds said—" "I don't care what Reynolds said. I'm handling this," Whitmore snapped, his fury unbridled. Mills hesitated, his gaze flickering from his volatile partner to the increasingly tense scene, then, with a defeated shrug, he retreated, disappearing back towards the patrol car. Simone watched him go, a cold dread settling in. No help there. Across the street, a young couple, their morning stroll interrupted, paused, the woman pulling out her phone and beginning to film. 2 houses down, Mr. Carter, a distinguished elderly gentleman, stepped onto his porch, arms crossed, his gaze fixed on the unfolding drama. Whitmore, noticing the growing audience, felt a surge of irrational anger. Their scrutiny only fueled his sense of wounded authority. "All right, here's what's going to happen," he declared, his voice louder, more theatrical for the benefit of the onlookers. "You're going to show me proof you live here. Deed, mortgage papers, utility bills, something." "Those documents are inside," Simone replied, her voice clipped. "Then let's go inside and get them." Whitmore's eyes gleamed with a predatory satisfaction. "You want to enter my home?" Simone asked, her eyebrows arching. "Do you have a warrant?" Whitmore's face darkened, a flush spreading across his cheeks. "I don't need a warrant if you invite me." "I'm not inviting you." "Then I'm detaining you until we sort this out," he announced, his voice oozing false authority. "On what grounds?" Simone challenged, a spark of defiance in her eyes. "Trespassing? Trespassing on my own property?" "That's what I'm trying to determine," Whitmore said, a smirk playing on his lips. Simone's mind raced, a whirlwind of legal precedents and personal outrage. She could end this charade in seconds. Her federal credentials, locked securely in her briefcase, would immediately quash his ridiculous demands. But a fierce anger, hot and righteous, burned in her chest. Why should she have to prove anything? She had done nothing wrong. This was an affront, a gross abuse of power, born of pure, unadulterated prejudice. "Officer," she said, her voice sharp with a renewed resolve, "I want your name and badge number." Whitmore, enjoying the game, touched his nameplate slowly, deliberately, his eyes never leaving hers. "Whitmore, badge 4782. He paused, then added with a sneer, "Write it down. I'll wait." "I will," Simone promised, her voice laced with an icy conviction. "Trust me." "Ooh, a threat?" he mocked, feigning a shiver. "I'm shaking." He turned to the growing crowd, a performative victim. "Everybody see that? She just threatened me." A teenager on a bicycle, a young black man, perhaps 16, rolled up to the curb. He pulled out his phone, its screen already live, and pointed it directly at Whitmore. "I'm recording this, officer," he announced, his voice steady. "For the record." Whitmore spun, his face contorted in a snarl. "Put that phone away, kid." "It's my right to record the police in public," the teen shot back, unflustered. "This is private property, kid. Get lost before I arrest you too." The teenager didn't move, his phone remaining firmly aimed. On his screen, view counts began to climb. 47 people watching, then 68, then 112. Whitmore's radio crackled, but he ignored it, his focus locked on Simone. "Last chance, lady," he snarled. "Show me ID, or I'm taking you in." Simone's hands trembled, not from fear, but from a simmering, righteous rage. "Taking me in for what?" she challenged. "Failure to identify. Resisting. I haven't resisted anything. You've resisted every request I've made," he shot back, his voice rising to a shout. "Your requests are unlawful. There you go again, playing lawyer. What are you, some paralegal secretary at a law firm?" The condescension in his voice was a deliberate barb, designed to wound, to diminish. Simone's blood boiled. "I work in the justice system," she stated, her voice tight with restrained fury. Whitmore laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Let me guess. Court secretary? Filing clerk?" He looked her up and down, a lecherous smirk on his face. "No. Wait. You clean the courthouse bathrooms?" A collective gasp rippled through the onlookers. Eleanor, on her porch, covered her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. Mr. Carter, stoic until now, shook his head in disgust. The teenager's live stream count jumped, now soaring past 340 viewers. "Officer," Simone said, her voice dangerously calm, "you're making a serious mistake." "The only mistake here," Whitmore retorted, gesturing dismissively at her exquisite home, "is you thinking you can live in a place like this? $500,000 home. Perfect roses. You expect me to believe you can afford this?" "Why wouldn't I be able to afford it?" Simone asked, her eyes narrowing. "Because people like you—" He stopped himself, just barely, catching himself before uttering the full, racist slur he clearly intended. "People like me what, officer?" Simone pressed, her voice a low, insistent demand. "You know exactly what I mean. Say it out loud. For all these cameras." Whitmore's face darkened, a vein throbbing in his temple. "Don't push me." "I'm not pushing," Simone said, her voice rising slightly. "I'm standing in my own yard." The green garden hose remained in her hand, forgotten until now. A single rhythmic drip fell from the nozzle, creating a small dark circle on the paved walkway. She'd turned the water off when he first approached, but the image of it, still clutched in her hand, seemed to trigger something in Whitmore. His eyes narrowed, a new, unsettling focus replacing his previous anger. "Put that down." His voice was flat, devoid of any discernible emotion. "It's a garden hose," Simone replied, her confusion genuine. "Put it down, now," he barked, his tone shifting abruptly to a commanding snarl. Simone, startled, gently placed the hose onto the grass. A small puddle began to form around it. "Step away from it." "You're joking," Simone said, a bewildered laugh escaping her lips. "Do I look like I'm joking? Step away." She took one step back, her mind reeling. "This is insane. It's a garden hose." Whitmore, ignoring her, keyed his radio. 712 to dispatch, requesting backup at 247 Maple Ridge Drive. Uncooperative subject. Static crackled, then a calm voice responded. "Copy. 7 Adam 12. Nature of the call?" Whitmore paused, a malicious grin spreading across his face. "Possible trespassing. Subject refusing to identify." "Derek, don't!" Mills's voice, strained and anxious, carried faintly from the patrol car. More neighbors emerged, drawn by the escalating tension. A woman in vibrant yoga clothes, a man walking his golden retriever, another teenager joining the first, both now filming with unwavering attention. Simone glanced at the growing crowd. Eleanor, tears glistening in her eyes. The young couple, holding hands, their phones raised like modern-day swords. Mr. Carter, his silent nod a powerful testament of support. She looked back at Whitmore, this man with a badge, a gun, and 15 years of unchecked power, and in that moment, a profound, unyielding decision solidified within her. "Officer Whitmore," Simone announced, her voice clear and resonant, cutting through the murmuring crowd. "I'm going to reach into my back pocket now, slowly, to get my identification." Whitmore's eyes narrowed, his hand once again resting on his holstered weapon. "Keep your hands where I can see them," he snarled, suspicion still warring with a flicker of triumph. "My ID is in my back pocket. I need to reach for it." "Fine. Slow movements. Any sudden moves, and—" He didn't finish the threat, but the unspoken implication hung heavy in the air. The crowd murmured, a collective gasp. Someone shouted, "He's threatening her!" Simone moved with deliberate, measured slowness, her fingers brushing against the damp denim of her jeans. But as she shifted her weight, her foot caught the discarded garden hose. She stumbled slightly, a small, involuntary jolt. The hose, disturbed, jerked. A few drops of water, barely noticeable, splashed onto Whitmore's pants leg. A splash. Perhaps a tablespoon of water, nothing more. Whitmore looked down, his gaze fixed on the minuscule wet spot on his uniform. His face, in an instant, transformed. All pretense of control vanished, replaced by an expression of pure, unadulterated rage, an animalistic fury that seemed to consume him. "Did you just assault me?" he roared, his voice thick with menace. "What? No, I tripped," Simone exclaimed, genuinely shocked by his overreaction. "You just assaulted a police officer!" he screamed, his voice reaching a fever pitch. "It was an accident! I saw it!" "You sprayed me deliberately!" Whitmore shrieked, his face now a mask of terrifying aggression. "Officer, that's not what happened," Simone pleaded, but it was too late. He lunged forward, a terrifying blur of motion grabbing the garden hose from where it lay on the ground. His movements were sharp, violent, fueled by a terrifying, unhinged anger. "Derek, stop!" Mills's desperate cry carried across the lawn as he finally sprinted from the patrol car. Whitmore ignored him, his eyes locked on Simone. With a savage twist, he adjusted the nozzle. The gentle mist transformed into a brutal, high-pressure jet, a weaponized stream. Simone saw it coming, her eyes wide with dawning horror. "Don't you dare!" she cried, but the warning was futile. The water hit her face, the force of it stunning her, a blinding, choking impact. She raised her hands instinctively, but it was too late. The water hammered her chest, her shoulders, cold and shocking and violent. She tried to turn away, to shield herself, but he followed her with the stream, a relentless predator cornering his prey. "You think you can assault me?" he shrieked, his face contorted in a horrifying mask of triumph. "You think you're special?" The brutal pressure of the water knocked her backward. She tripped over the rose bushes, the thorns tearing at her jeans, and fell hard onto the grass, a desperate gasp escaping her lips. He stood over her, still spraying, the unrelenting deluge flooding her face. She couldn't breathe, couldn't see, choking on the cold water. "Maybe this will teach you some respect," he snarled, a triumphant, chilling smile playing on his lips. She lay on the ground, gasping, coughing, desperately trying to clear her airways, her hands clamped over her face in a futile attempt at protection. 10 seconds. 20. 30. "Stop it!" Eleanor screamed from her porch, her voice hoarse with terror. "She's drowning!" 40 seconds. Simone's silk blouse plastered to her skin, her jeans soaked through, heavy and cold. Water filled her ears, her nose a terrifying, suffocating sensation. Finally, with a sharp, abrupt motion, he released the trigger. Silence. A ringing, oppressive silence broken only by Simone's ragged, desperate gasps for air. She sat in a cold puddle on her own lawn, water streaming from her hair, her clothes, mascara, running in black rivers down her cheeks. Her briefcase, previously a symbol of her professional acumen, lay open on the driveway, its contents strewn. Important papers floating uselessly in expanding puddles. Case files ruined. Whitmore tossed the hose aside, his chest heaving, a self-satisfied smirk on his face. "Maybe that'll wash some of that attitude off you, sweetheart." The crowd, previously stunned into silence, erupted in a chorus of shouts and outraged cries. Phones, dozens of them, were everywhere recording every detail. The teenage live streamer's screen now flashed a staggering 747 viewers. Mills stood frozen, his face ashen, horrified by the spectacle. Eleanor sobbed openly on her porch, her hands clasped to her mouth. Simone sat there, destroyed, humiliated, exposed in front of her neighbors in her own front yard. Then, slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up. Water dripped from every part of her body, a constant, chilling reminder of the assault. She wiped her face. Her gaze, when it met Whitmore's, was eerily calm, devoid of the frantic fear he expected. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet, almost a whisper, yet it possessed a deadly, chilling authority. "Officer Whitmore," she enunciated each word with careful precision, "you have made the worst mistake of your career." He scoffed, trying to regain his composure to reassert his dominance. "Is that a threat?" "No," Simone replied, her eyes burning with an unyielding fire. "That's a promise." She reached into her back pocket once more. The wet denim made it difficult, but her fingers found their target, grasping the cold metallic object. Slowly, deliberately, she pulled it out. A metal badge case, water still dripping from its polished surface. A gold seal, intricately embossed, caught the morning sunlight gleaming with an undeniable official gravitas. She opened it, slowly, allowing the crowd, the cameras, and most importantly, Whitmore, to see. Federal judicial credentials. Her photograph, stern and dignified. The official seal of the United States courts. She held it aloft, a silent, powerful declaration. "I'm Dr. Simone Laurent," she announced, her voice rising, strong and clear. "Federal judge for the United States Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit." The color drained from Whitmore's face in an instant, leaving it a sickly, mottled white. His mouth opened, then closed, no sound escaping, as if his vocal cords had seized. Simone's voice, sharp and unwavering, cut through the sudden, stunned silence that had fallen over the scene. "You just assaulted a federal judge on her own property, in front of at least 40 witnesses, Officer Whitmore." His hand began to tremble uncontrollably, a visible tremor that betrayed his crumbling bravado. The badge case, now a terrifying instrument of justice, gleamed in the morning light. The gold seal, her official photo, unmistakable, undeniable. That's fake," he stammered, his voice a pathetic, reedy whisper cracking with disbelief and terror. "Has to be fake." Mills, jolted from his stunned paralysis, sprinted towards them, his phone already out, his fingers typing furiously. His face, already pale, turned a ghastly shade of gray. "Derek!" he gasped, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and dawning horror. "Oh God, Derek, she's real!" He spun his phone around, thrusting the screen towards Whitmore. Judge Simone Laurent's official court portrait, a solemn image in black robes against an American flag backdrop, filled the display. The same face, the same resolute woman, now standing, soaking wet, before them. Appointed 2019, confirmed by Senate 94-2, presiding judge in Henderson v. Portland Police Department. Mill's voice trailed off, the last part of the name hitting Whitmore like a physical blow. That case, a landmark police misconduct trial, was one he knew all too well. Whitmore snatched the phone, his eyes devouring the screen, his breathing growing rapid and shallow. "I didn't. How was I supposed to?" he mumbled, a desperate, pathetic attempt at self-preservation. Eleanor's voice, ringing with a triumphant, if tearful, indignation, cut him off. "I tried to tell you. I tried to warn you." The teenage live streamer zoomed in on Whitmore's rapidly disintegrating face. The view count surged past 4,200. Comments flooded the screen. "Yo, this cop is done. He just assaulted a federal judge. El Mao career. Over in 3, 2, 1. Mr. Carter, a figure of quiet dignity, walked across his lawn, stopping at the fence line. His voice, when he spoke, carried an undeniable authority, the gravitas of decades in the legal profession. "I am a retired attorney. I witnessed everything. Officers committed multiple violations, battery, deprivation of rights, trespass, all documented." More neighbors now streamed out of their homes. A woman in scrubs, just home from a night shift, a man in a business suit, coffee mug in hand, an elderly couple, their hands clasped, their faces grim, all of them watching, all of them recording. Simone wiped the last traces of water from her face, her expression a mask of deadly calm. "Officer Mills," she stated, her gaze fixing on the junior officer. "What is your badge number?" Mills snapped to attention, his posture stiff. 22847, Your Honor." "Thank you. You witnessed everything that just occurred, correct?" "Yes, Your Honor." His voice was barely audible, laced with shame. "And you attempted to stop your partner, correct?" "Yes, Your Honor, I tried." Whitmore spun on him, a flash of pure betrayal in his eyes. "Shut up, Mills." "No!" Mills took a defiant step back, his youthful face hardening. "No, Derek, I'm not going down with you." Simone pulled her own phone from her other pocket. Miraculously, it had survived the drenching. She tapped the screen. It still worked. "I'm calling Police Chief Amanda Winters directly." Whitmore's knees buckled. He caught himself, his body shaking uncontrollably. "Your Honor, please," he whimpered. "I didn't know." "If you had known I was a judge, you wouldn't have assaulted me. Is that what you're saying?" Simone challenged, her voice cutting like a blade. He swallowed hard, unable to speak, to lie. "So, if I was a secretary, like you assumed, this would have been acceptable?" "No, I mean, that's not—" "Choose your next words very carefully, officer," Simone warned, her voice glacial. Her phone rang once, then twice. A voice answered. "Chief Winters." Simone put the call on speaker, ensuring everyone could hear. "Chief, this is Judge Simone Laurent. I need you to come to my home immediately. 2847 Maple Ridge Drive." A stunned pause. "Judge Laurent, is everything all right?" Chief Winters' voice, usually calm, was now tinged with concern. "No." Simone's single word resonated with a chilling finality. "One of your officers just physically assaulted me in my front yard after accusing me of trespassing at my own home." The silence on the other end stretched, heavy and ominous. Then, Chief Winters' voice returned, tight with a controlled fury that promised retribution. "What officer?" "Derek Whitmore, badge 4782. Another pause, longer this time, punctuated by a soft expletive. "Jesus Christ. Judge, I'm 10 minutes away. Is the officer still on scene?" "He is. Don't let him leave." "I'm coming with internal affairs." "Thank you, Chief." Simone extended the phone towards Whitmore. "She'd like to speak with you." His hand trembled so violently he nearly dropped the device. He raised it to his ear, taking it off speaker, but the crowd was hushed enough that Chief Winters' voice, loud and sharp, was clearly audible to everyone. "Whitmore, what the hell did you do?" "Chief, there was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding? You assaulted a federal judge? I didn't know she was—" "So that makes it okay? If she wasn't a judge, assault is fine." No, ma'am, your badge and gun, right now. You're suspended immediately. Whitmore's face crumbled, his carefully constructed world collapsing around him. 15 years gone. Chief, please, I have kids, a mortgage. I've been on the force. You were on the force. Not anymore. Put Judge Loran back on. He handed the phone back, his hand brushing hers. He flinched away as if she had burned him. Simone took the phone off speaker, pressing it to her ear. Yes, Chief. The conversation was private now, but her expression, a mixture of grim satisfaction and unwavering resolve, spoke volumes. She listened, nodded, casting a brief, piercing glance at Whitmore. Yes, I'll file a formal complaint. Yes, I understand. Thank you, Chief. She ended the call, then looked at the crowd. At least 50 people now, their faces a mixture of shock, anger, and relief. Cars had stopped on the street, neighbors watched from every porch. Mrs. Henderson, Mr. Carter, anyone else who witnessed this, please save your video footage. You'll be contacted by investigators. A chorus of, "Yes, Your Honor," and, "Of course," rippled through the crowd. The young couple, previously filming silently, approached. The woman spoke softly. "Judge Loran, we got everything from 3 different angles. We'll send it wherever you need." "Thank you," Simone replied, a flicker of warmth in her eyes. "I appreciate your courage." The teenage live streamer stepped forward, his eyes bright with a sense of purpose. "Your Honor, my video went viral. 12,000 people watching now. Should I keep it up?" Simone considered for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, keep it up. Truth needs sunlight." Whitmore made a sound, almost a whimper, as he watched his entire life explode in real time. Mills, now completely detached from his former partner, stood near the patrol car, radio in hand. 7 Adam, Chapter 12 to dispatch. Requesting Supervisor and Internal Affairs to 22847 Maple Ridge Drive. Officer involved incident. Federal judge involved. The radio crackled. "Say again, 7 Adam 12. Supervisor and IA. Federal judge. It's bad." Whitmore suddenly dropped to his knees right there on the wet lawn, his uniform soaking up water and mud, a pathetic figure of despair. "Your Honor, please." Tears streamed down his face, carving clean paths through the grime. "Please, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake." Simone looked down at him, water still dripping from her hair, her clothes. She was shivering now, the morning air suddenly cold against her wet fabric, but her gaze was steady, unyielding. "You didn't make a mistake, Officer Whitmore," she said, her voice devoid of pity. "You made a choice. Multiple choices for almost an hour. I didn't mean to—" "You meant every word, every action," Simone cut him off, her voice a sharp, unforgiving blade. "You profiled me. You humiliated me. You assaulted me. All because you saw a black woman and assumed I didn't belong. That's not—" "Don't," Simone commanded, her voice rising. "Don't lie to me. Not now. The truth is on camera from a dozen angles. Your words, your actions, all documented." He bowed his head, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. A news van, emblazoned with the logo of Quan 6 News, screeched to a halt at the curb. A reporter, Laura Carter, an astute Asian woman in her mid-30s, leaped out, her camera operator right behind her. She took in the scene, the drenched woman, the kneeling officer, the crowd with their phones, and her eyes widened. "Judge Loran," she exclaimed, approaching carefully, microphone extended. "I'm Laura Carter from Quan News. Can you tell us what happened?" Simone hesitated for only a moment, then nodded. "Yes," she said, her voice calm and resolute. "I can." She walked towards the camera, water dripping from her clothes with each step. Her hair was a mess, mascara streaked, but her posture was regal, her voice steady, unwavering. My name is Dr. Simone Laurent. I'm a federal judge for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. This morning I was watering flowers in my own front yard. Officer Whitmore approached me. He demanded to know what I was doing in this neighborhood. The camera rolled, capturing every word, every nuance. Laura Carter's microphone caught her clear, strong voice. When I told him I lived here, he didn't believe me. He accused me of trespassing, of being either a maid or a criminal. He demanded proof I could afford a home in this neighborhood. Whitmore lifted his head, his hollow eyes fixed on the camera, watching his career, his life, die on live television. When water accidentally splashed on his uniform, Simone continued, her voice filled with controlled indignation. He grabbed my garden hose and assaulted me for nearly a minute at full pressure while I was on the ground, unable to breathe. Laura Carter's face registered professional shock, but it was undeniably genuine. He did this because I'm a black woman, and he couldn't fathom that I might belong in this neighborhood, that I might have earned my place here. Behind her, Whitmore's phone buzzed incessantly, a barrage of texts and calls. Family, friends, his world unraveling text by text, social media post by post. This isn't just about me, Simone continued, her gaze sweeping across the faces of the crowd, the cameras. This is about every person of color who's been told they don't belong, who've been harassed, humiliated, or worse, by those sworn to protect them. A black SUV, federal plates gleaming, pulled up to the curb. Special Agent Sarah Kim stepped out, an FBI agent with a formidable presence. She assessed the scene, the cameras, the kneeling officer, and walked directly to Simone. She presented her credentials, a brief flash of authority. Judge Laurent, I'm Special Agent Kim with the FBI Civil Rights Division. I need to speak with you. Simone nodded, then turned back to the camera. Officer Whitmore will face consequences, she stated. But he's a symptom. The disease is a system that allowed him to operate this way for 15 years. That system must change. Laura Carter slowly lowered her mic. Thank you, Your Honor. This will be national news within the hour. Good, Simone replied, her gaze firm. Let it be. Another car arrived, an unmarked sedan. Sergeant Vincent Thompson, a black man with distinguished graying temples, a veteran of 25 years on the force, emerged. He took one look at the chaotic scene, his jaw setting into a hard, grim line. Judge Laurent, I'm Sergeant Thompson. I am so deeply sorry for what happened here. Sergeant, Simone responded, her tone professional. I need this scene preserved as evidence. Every inch of it. Already done, Your Honor. Crime scene unit is 2 minutes out. Whitmore was still on his knees, still crying. A broken figure. Mills stood apart, giving his statement to Agent Kim in a low, almost inaudible voice, his face still pale. Eleanor approached Simone, a soft, fluffy towel in her hands. Simone, honey, you need to get warm. Simone accepted it gratefully, wrapping it around her shoulders. She was shaking now, the cold and shock and adrenaline finally crashing down on her. Eleanor, you were brave. Thank you. Eleanor patted her arm gently. Brave? You're the brave one, dear. More official vehicles streamed onto the street. Internal Affairs, crime scene investigators, their presence adding to the surreal atmosphere. Yellow tape, stark and official, went up around Simone's lawn, transforming her peaceful garden into a crime scene. Simone's phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her husband, James. His voice, when she answered, exploded through the speaker, raw with concern and anger. Simone, I just saw the news. Are you okay? I'm leaving the hospital right now. I'm okay. I'm okay, Simone managed, her voice muffled by the towel and her own exhaustion. Come home. 10 minutes, I'm coming. She hung up, then looked at her house, her sanctuary. Now, yellow tape stretched across her beloved rose bushes, a stark barrier. Chief Winter's car pulled up. The chief herself, a white woman in her early 50s, her uniform crisp, her face set in hard, determined lines, stepped out. She walked directly to Simone. "Judge Laron, I cannot express how horrified I am by this. Your apologies mean nothing without action, Chief." Simone's voice was weary but firm. "You'll have action. I promise you that." Chief Winters turned to Whitmore, still on his knees in the mud, a picture of abject misery. "Derek Whitmore, stand up." He struggled to his feet, his legs visibly shaking. "Badge, gun, all department property now." Mills stepped forward, his face grim, and handed over Whitmore's badge and service weapon. The chief took them, holding them up for a moment. 15 years of service ended in 1 hour of hatred. She dropped them into an evidence bag with a definitive thud. Whitmore's face was blank now, shock setting in, the full weight of his actions finally crushing him. He'd lost everything, and he knew it. Simone stood, wrapped in Eleanor's towel, still dripping, but her posture had changed. The victim had, irrevocably, become the authority. "Officer Whitmore," she began, her voice resonating with newfound power, "we need to be clear about what happens next." He looked up, his face red and swollen from crying, his eyes filled with a desperate, pathetic hope. "You violated Title 18, Section 242, Deprivation of Rights under color of law," Simone stated, her voice steady, like a judge reading a verdict. "That's a federal felony." "Your Honor, I'm not finished." She cut him off. "You also violated Oregon state law, assault in the 3rd degree, official misconduct, coercion." Agent Kim stepped forward, notebook poised. "Judge Laron, for the record, please describe the specific threats he made." Simone's memory was sharp, honed by years on the bench, every detail recalled with chilling precision. He said, "You people think you can move into neighborhoods like this?" He asked, "Who was paying for this house, if my drug dealer boyfriend bought it?" Whitmore's face went even whiter. Those words, his words, were now on the federal record, irrevocably etched into his fate. "He threatened to call immigration despite me being native-born. Called me a maid or a thief." Agent Kim wrote furiously, documenting every damning utterance. "He weaponized my garden hose, assaulted me for 50 seconds while I was down, while I begged him to stop." The crowd was silent, a vast, somber gathering. 50 people, phones still raised, recording the raw, brutal truth. "Mr. Carter," Simone turned, her gaze falling on the retired attorney. "You mentioned you're a retired attorney. What area?" Mr. Carter stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with a quiet determination. "Civil rights litigation, 30 years. Police misconduct cases. Would you provide expert witness testimony?" "It would be my honor." Whitmore's future, already bleak, had just acquired another layer of nightmare. Sergeant Thompson approached, his face grave. "Your Honor, Chief Winters authorized administrative custody. He needs to come to the station." "Understood." Thompson turned to Whitmore. "Derek, let's go." Whitmore didn't move, frozen in place, a statue of despair. "Your Honor," his voice broke. "Please, I'm begging. My wife Jennifer, she's a nurse. We have 2 kids. Emma's 7, Tyler's 4. They need their father." Simone's face remained impassive. "You should have thought about Emma and Tyler before you humiliated someone's mother." "I'll do anything. Resign. Public apology. Whatever you want." "You'll do all of that whether you want to or not." "Please, don't destroy my family." "I'm not destroying your family," Simone countered, her voice unwavering. "You did that when you chose hate over duty." A car screeched into the driveway. A woman, late 30s, in scrubs, brown hair pulled back, leaped out. Jennifer Whitmore. "Derek!" She ran, then stopped abruptly, her eyes wide as she registered the cameras, the crowd, the yellow tape, her husband kneeling in the mud. "What did you do?" He couldn't look at it. Mills stepped forward, quietly explaining the situation. Her face cycled through confusion to horror, then to a raw, guttural rage. "You assaulted a federal judge?" she screamed, her voice cracking. "A judge? Jenny, I didn't know. Even if she wasn't a judge, you sprayed someone with a hose in her own yard. It was a mistake. The kids will see this. Emma's going to see her father attacking someone." Jennifer was crying now, angry, heartbroken tears. "How do I tell them?" She looked at Simone, seeing the wet clothes, the destroyed dignity. Jennifer walked over, stood before her, her voice now a strained whisper. "Your Honor, I'm so sorry. So deeply sorry." Simone's voice softened slightly. "Mrs. Whitmore, you're not responsible for his choices. But I'm responsible for what I teach my children. They need to see accountability." She turned to the cameras, to Laura Carter's news crew. "I'm Jennifer Whitmore. Derek is my husband. What he did today was evil, racist, unforgivable. I stand with Judge Laron." The crowd murmured, shocked by this unexpected turn. Derek stared, his mouth agape. "Jenny, don't." But she walked to her car, climbed in, and drove away, leaving a crushing silence in her wake. Chief Winters approached Simone, her face grim. "Your Honor, are you pressing charges?" "Federal charges, state charges, every applicable charge," Simone stated. "The FBI will take the lead on federal, D.A. Williams on state." "Chief, how many complaints has Whitmore had?" Chief Winters looked at Sergeant Thompson, who quickly checked his phone. 12 excessive force complaints, 37 documented stops of minorities in white neighborhoods, 3 settled lawsuits, 1.2 million taxpayer dollars paid out. The crowd erupted in angry shouts. "How is he still a cop?" Chief Winters' face registered a profound shame. "That's what we'll investigate. Promises aren't enough," Simone warned. "I want action, reform. This must be the last time someone is terrorized in their neighborhood. You have my word." "Word's got us here, Chief. Action gets us out." A car screeched into the driveway. Dr. James Laron was out before it even stopped, running to his wife. "Simone!" She collapsed into him, the strength that had sustained her finally cracking, her body trembling uncontrollably. "I've got you," he whispered, holding her tight. He looked at Whitmore, his eyes blazing with a protective fury. "You're lucky there are witnesses here." "James," Simone's voice was muffled against his chest. "Let the law handle it." He took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm. Thompson moved in. "Derek, time to go." Whitmore stood, his legs barely holding him, and looked at Simone. "I know you won't believe me, but I'm truly sorry." She lifted her head. "You're right. I don't believe you. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry there were cameras. Sorry I wasn't who you assumed. That's not... You're sorry you can't get away with it this time." Thompson guided him to the patrol car. Not cuffed. Not yet. But everyone knew they were coming. The crowd parted, some jeering, some still filming, some just staring in stunned disbelief. The live stream count, 28,000. Justice for Judge Laron was trending locally. He got in. The door closed, his face blank through the window. The car pulled away, everyone watching until it disappeared. Simone turned to all the cameras, her voice strong and clear. "What happened today will not be swept away, not minimized, not forgotten." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Every video, every witness statement, every piece of evidence will ensure Derek Whitmore faces justice. But more importantly, it will change a system that let him operate for 15 years, that ignored 12 complaints, that paid $1.2 million to keep victims quiet." Laura Carter's camera rolled, capturing every nuance. "I'm a federal judge. I had power, resources, And still I was attacked. Still assumed criminal. Simone looked directly into the lens. If this happens to me, imagine those without my advantages who can't fight back, who don't have badges to reveal. Silence, a profound, echoing silence. This is not the end. This is the beginning of accountability, of reform, of change. She wrapped the towel tighter around herself. Thank you for your courage, for recording, for witnessing. You saved more than me today. The crowd applauded, a ripple that grew into a wave of sound. Eleanor wiped tears from her eyes. Mr. Carter nodded sagely. Teenagers raised their phones higher. Change happens when people refuse to accept injustice, Simone declared, her voice ringing with conviction. Today, 50 people refused, and the world is watching. 2 hours later, the Portland Police Bureau headquarters erupted in chaos. Chief Winters stood in the command center, every phone line lit up, a frantic symphony of media requests, city council inquiries, and federal investigators demanding answers. Her assistant rushed in, her face pale. Chief, the mayor's on line 3, FBI director on 5. CNN wants a statement. Tell CNN press conference at 4 p.m. Connect the FBI. She listened, her face hardening. Yes, sir, full cooperation. Every file, every complaint. She hung up, then looked at her team. Federal Investigation, Civil Rights Division, they're flying in tonight. Internal Affairs Detective Maria Ramirez entered, a thick file clutched in her hand. Chief, you need to see this. 12 excessive force complaints, all marked unfounded, all signed by Captain Richard Reynolds. Where's Reynolds? Winters asked, a dangerous glint in her eyes. Called in sick this morning before the incident. Convenient. Get him on the phone. If he doesn't answer, send officers to his house. The door opened again. District Attorney Marcus Williams entered. Sharp suit, sharper mind. Amanda, tell me we can prosecute this. 11 camera angles, 42 witnesses, federal judge victim. Her personal body camera footage. The chief pulled up a laptop. Watch. Williams watched, his expression darkening with each passing second. When Whitmore laughed, his hands curled into fists. How long? 53 seconds. Williams closed his eyes, a single heavy sigh escaping him. Assault 3, official misconduct, coercion, hate crime enhancement. The union will fight. Let them, Winters said, her voice grim. I have his text from that morning. Let's see what doesn't belong. Racial animus is clear. And Reynolds' obstruction, conspiracy. If he covered complaints, he's accessory to everything. Back at Judge Laurent's home, crime scene tape now crisscrossed every inch of the property. FBI teams meticulously photographed the trampled roses, the scattered papers, the garden hose now bagged as evidence. Agent Kim interviewed neighbors. Eleanor Henderson sat on her porch, her voice still shaking, but resolute. I told him she was my neighbor. He threatened to arrest me. Did you feel intimidated? Agent Kim asked, her pen poised. Terrified, Eleanor admitted, but I couldn't stay silent. Agent Kim wrote, Mrs. Henderson, your courage saved this case. Inside, Simone sat at her kitchen table. Dry clothes now, a bob sweater, her hair wrapped in a fluffy towel. James brought her a fresh cup of tea. She hadn't touched the first one. It was cold now. You should eat, he urged gently. I'm not hungry, James. Every time I close my eyes, I see his face, hear his voice, feel the water. He took her hand, his thumb tracing soothing circles on her skin. It's not your fault. I know, she whispered, but knowing doesn't stop the feeling. Her phone buzzed constantly. Chief Judge Morrison. Taking you off the calendar next week. Non-negotiable. You need time. D.A. Williams. Filing charges tomorrow. He's going down. Antido ACP President. We stand with you. ACLU. Legal support available. She set the phone down, burying her face in her hands. Everyone will see me at my lowest. Soaking wet. Helpless. James lifted her chin, his gaze unwavering. "They'll also see you stand up. Pull out that badge. Refuse to be broken." "I feel broken," she admitted, a tear escaping. "You're hurt," he corrected gently. "That's different." A knock at the door. Agent Kim. "Judge Laron, we need your formal statement for a federal case." Simone stood, a flicker of her old fire returning to her eyes. Judge Laron returning. "Let's do this. Let's do." 90 minutes later, 20 pages of notes meticulously documented every detail. A federal indictment was issued within 72 hours. Priority 1. Whitmore, at the precinct, sat in an interrogation room. No badge, no gun, no authority. Arrested. Friday, 2 more days. At the precinct, Whitmore sat in interrogation not as a cop, but as a subject. His union lawyer, Jack Morrison, a man with tired eyes and a defeated slump, sat beside him. "Derek, don't say anything without me." "What happened to me?" Whitmore whispered, his voice hoarse. "Federal charges, state charges. 15 years combined if convicted." 15 years? My kids will be grown. You assaulted a federal judge on camera, no defense. Can we plea? Maybe, but the feds want prison time. Significant time. Whitmore sobbed, a guttural sound of despair. Morrison didn't comfort him. He'd defended bad cops before, but this one was indefensible. The door opened. Chief Winters entered, her face grim. "Derek Whitmore, effective immediately, you're terminated from the Portland Police Bureau." "You can't. I'm suspended pending investigation." "Investigation's over. The video is conclusive. You violated policy, law, and have an oath. You're done." Termination papers hit the table with a soft slap. 48 hours to clear your locker. Benefits end tonight." She left. Morrison slid the papers over. "Sign." "What if I don't?" "They terminate you anyway. This is cleaner." Whitmore's hand shook as he signed his career away. 15 years. Gone. Outside, news vans line the street, a hungry throng of local, national, and international media. Laura Carter reported live. Breaking. Officer Derek Whitmore fired. Federal charges expected within days. Behind her, protesters gathered, signs raised. "Justice for Judge Laron." "End police racism." "Accountability now." 200 people, and growing. The sun set over Portland, but the story was just beginning. Week 1. The investigation explodes. FBI Special Agent Kim led a task force of 6 agents. They subpoenaed everything. Personnel files, emails, text messages, social media accounts. What they found turned their stomachs. Whitmore's private Facebook account, rife with posts in a group called Real Cops of Portland, was a cesspool of racist memes, jokes about cleaning up neighborhoods, and photos of black suspects with mocking captions. Text messages to other officers revealed his true colors. "Another one who doesn't belong. Made a stop in Laurelhurst today. Reminded them whose streets these are." Dashboard camera footage revealed 15 instances where Whitmore had intentionally deactivated his camera during traffic stops, all involving people of color. Agent Kim compiled a meticulous timeline, evidence of a clear pattern and practice. The Oregonian newspaper assigned reporter David Washington, a black veteran journalist who knew this story intimately, to investigate. His front-page series ran for 5 days, gripping the city. Day 1, The Badge and the Pattern, Derek Whitmore's 15-year trail. It documented 37 traffic stops, revealing a stark racial breakdown. 34 minorities, 3 white drivers. Day 2, The Victims Speak. Interviews with those Whitmore had stopped over the years, their stories eerily similar. Humiliation, threats, illegal searches. Jamal Henderson, 2019, then 19, stopped while walking. Marijuana found in his pocket. He swore it was planted. Charges eventually dropped, but the arrest record remained. Maria Gonzalez, 2020, pulled over for a broken taillight that wasn't broken. Her car was searched, damaged, nothing found. No apology. David Carter, 21, stopped while jogging, detained for 2 hours, released without charges, missed his daughter's birthday party. Day 3. The system that protected him. Internal documents revealed Captain Reynolds had dismissed 8 complaints against Whitmore without investigation, marking them unfounded without interviewing witnesses and even recommending Whitmore for commendation. The city had paid $1.2 million in settlements, all with NDAs, silencing victims with money. Day 4. The cost to taxpayers. A detailed breakdown of settlements, legal fees, the financial toll of protecting bad cops. Day 5. The Reckoning. A roadmap for reform featuring expert opinions and community voices. The series won regional journalism awards, but more importantly, it galvanized public pressure. Week 3. Grand jury convenes. DA Marcus Williams presented the state case. A panel of 23 diverse citizens. They watched the videos, all 11 angles. When the water hit Judge Loron, juror number 4 gasped, covering her mouth. When Whitmore laughed, juror 7 shook his head, disgust clear on his face. Expert witnesses testified. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a police practices expert, stated, "Every action violated policy, training, and law. This is textbook abuse of power." Dr. Ramon Torres, a psychologist, has testified, "The language used shows clear racial bias. You people don't belong. Classic dehumanization." Officer Mills testified, his voice quiet, filled with remorse. "I should have stopped him. I'll regret my silence forever." The grand jury deliberated for 45 minutes. A true bill was returned. Indictment on all charges: assault 3, official misconduct, coercion. A hate crime enhancement, an additional weighty charge, was added by the jury themselves. Whitmore's lawyer received the news and called his client. "Derek, they added a hate crime enhancement. That's an extra 3 years minimum." Silence on the line, then a broken sob. Week 4. Federal charges filed. The DOJ Civil Rights Division reviewed everything. A federal indictment came down. Title 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. 10 years maximum. Captain Reynolds was indicted separately. Conspiracy, obstruction. Title 18, Section 371. Both faced federal prison. Reynolds' wife filed for divorce the same day. His lawyer quit. The next month or 2. Civil suit and reforms. Judge Loron filed a civil suit. Attorney Gloria Martinez, a renowned civil rights lawyer with 30 years fighting police misconduct, took the case. At a press conference, Martinez stood at the podium, Judge Loron beside her. "We're filing under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 civil rights violation. We're suing Derek Whitmore personally, the City of Portland, and Captain Richard Reynolds." She listed demands: $5 million in compensatory damages, $10 million in punitive damages, and injunctive relief mandating systemic reforms. "This case will change Portland policing forever." Loron spoke, her voice steady now, stronger. "I could stay silent, move on, pretend this didn't happen. But silence protects the system. I'm fighting for everyone who can't fight back." The city attorney reviewed the case, then met with the city council. "Our liability is clear. We should settle." A conservative council member objected. "We can fight this." Martinez, in response, released discovery. Emails showing the city knew about Whitmore for years, knew about complaints, paid settlements, and did nothing. The council voted 4-1 to settle. Their offer, $2.5 million plus a consent decree mandating reforms. Loron negotiated. "I don't want the money. I want change." Final settlement, $500K personal, $2 million to the police reform fund Laurent would create. The consent decree included mandatory body cameras, always on, a civilian oversight board with subpoena power, quarterly bias training, and an early warning system for problem officers. Month 4. Criminal trial begins. Multnomah County Courthouse. Judge Robert Carter presiding. A media circus outside, court TV covering gavel to gavel. Jury selection took 3 weeks, resulting in a final panel of 7 women, 5 men, racially diverse. D.A. Williams gave a powerful opening statement. Derek Whitmore wore a badge, carried a gun, swore an oath to protect and serve. On June 12th, he betrayed everything. You'll see the video, hear the witnesses, and you'll deliver justice. Defense attorney Harold Brennan countered, Derek Whitmore made a mistake. A serious mistake. But mistakes aren't crimes. He reacted poorly in a tense moment. That makes him human, not criminal. Week 1 of trial. Judge Laurent testified, taking the stand, sworn in, walking through every detail. Calm, factual, devastating. Cross-examination. Brennan attacked. Judge, weren't you argumentative? I asserted my constitutional rights. That's not argumentative. You splashed Officer Whitmore first. The hose swung accidentally. He retaliated with assault. As a judge, don't you have power others don't? Laurent paused, looking at the jury. As a black woman in America, I have the same vulnerabilities as everyone else. That day proved it. 2 jurors wiped tears. Officer Mills testified next, the prosecution's star witness. He profiled her, said she doesn't belong there. I saw the whole thing. I should have stopped him sooner. I'm ashamed I didn't. Neighbor witnesses followed. Eleanor Henderson. Simone is the kindest neighbor. He judged her before saying one word. Marcus, now 17, I recorded it because I knew no one would believe her without proof. That's the world we live in. Mr. Carter, I came to America for justice. That day, I saw injustice. We must fix this. Week 2, video evidence played. The full 47 minutes, unedited. The jury watched in silence. Some looked away. Some cried. All were changed. Week 3, the defense case collapsed. Whitmore testified against his lawyer's advice, attempting to appear remorseful. I should have handled it differently. I regret my actions. Williams cross-examined, destroying his testimony. You sent a text that morning. Read it aloud. Whitmore's face drained. Patrolling Laurelhurst today? Let's see what doesn't belong. What did you mean by what doesn't belong? Silence. You meant black people, didn't you? Whitmore whispered. Yes. Gasps in the courtroom. Jurors' expressions hardened. Character witnesses failed. Even his father testified weakly. Derek was raised better. I don't know what happened. No fellow officers testified for him. His wife refused. Day 19, verdict. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. They returned. The foreman stood. Count 1, assault in the 3rd degree, guilty. Count 2, official misconduct, guilty. Count 3, coercion, guilty. Count 4, hate crime enhancement, guilty. Whitmore collapsed, head in his hands, sobbing. Laurent, in the gallery, showed no visible emotion, only quiet satisfaction. 2 weeks later, sentencing hearing. Laurent gave a victim impact statement. Your Honor, Derek Whitmore didn't just assault me. He assaulted the idea that we are equal under law. If this happened to me, a federal judge, imagine what happens to those without my advantages. I don't ask for vengeance. I ask for accountability. A sentence that tells every officer, your badge is not a license to dehumanize. Judge Carter sentenced. Mr. Whitmore, in 20 years on this bench, I've rarely seen such clear abuse of power. You betrayed the public trust completely. Sentence, 5 years state prison, Federal charges would run consecutively. Total 13 years, $250,000 fine, permanent prohibition from law enforcement, mandatory racial bias counseling, 5 years supervised release after prison. Whitmore was led away, handcuffed. The irony was not lost on anyone. 6 months later, Captain Reynolds was sentenced separately. 4 years federal prison, lost pension, house, marriage. Early release denied. You enabled systemic abuse. Your damage extends beyond one incident. 6 months after sentencing, Portland transformed. Portland police operated under a federal consent decree, 5 years minimum. Reforms were real. Body cameras were mandatory, always on. Auto cloud upload. Deactivation meant termination. Compliance, 98%, it was 67 before. A civilian oversight board, 9 members, community elected with subpoena power, and independent investigators had already reviewed 47 cases. 3 officers were terminated. An early warning system, AI-assisted, flagged problem officers before escalation. 8 were removed from duty. Bias training was quarterly, mandatory, led by psychologists and former victims. 73% of officers reported a changed perspective. Chief Winters, at a press conference, stated, "We were broken. Judge Laurent forced us to fix ourselves. Complaints down 41%, use of force down 38%. We're not perfect, but we're accountable now." Judge Laurent created the Laurent Initiative, a powerful foundation with a clear mission: empowering communities through legal support, citizen journalism, and systemic advocacy. It boasted a legal defense fund, pro bono attorneys, handling 127 cases in 6 months, securing 23 settlements and 4 prosecutions. Citizen journalist training had empowered 1,200 people, distributing 300 body cameras. The Youth Justice Scholars Program provided 15 full scholarships, named after victims, funded by Laurent's settlement plus substantial donations, accumulating $2.8 million in assets. Marcus Henderson, now 17 and a high school senior, saw his viral video hit 18 million views. Time magazine featured him. Accepted to Howard University on a Laurent Initiative scholarship, he planned a criminal justice major with a digital media minor, still live streaming city council and police oversight meetings. His follower count at 340,000. Officer Mills, now a sergeant at 25, led ethical intervention training. I stayed silent with Whitmore. It almost made me complicit. I teach officers, duty to law, not partner. He spoke nationally, consulting 12 departments, and was getting married next month. Mrs. Eleanor Henderson, 78, was now an activist, a city council regular. I trusted the police for 78 years unconditionally. Simone taught me trust must be earned. She became a Laurent Initiative board member, mentoring young activists. Other victims found their voices. Mr. Carter taught Know Your Rights workshops. Jamal Henderson organized communities. Maria Gonzalez, formerly incarcerated, became a powerful advocate, all connected through the Laurent Initiative. Whitmore served his time at Oregon State Penitentiary, working in the library, teaching GED classes. Counseling was ongoing, psychologists helping him begin to understand his deep-seated biases. It was a long road. Letters to Laurent piled up. She didn't read them. Her assistant logged them for parole reviews. Earliest release, 2037. He was 38, he'd be 50. His kids visited quarterly. Emma was 8, Tyler 5. Jennifer had remarried, telling them the truth. Daddy hurt someone. He must face the consequences. His father visited monthly, showing photos. Remember what you lost. Reynolds was in Pennsylvania federal prison, lost pension, house, marriage. Early release denied. You enabled systemic abuse. Your damage extends beyond one incident. The Laurent Act, passed in Oregon, signed into law. body cameras statewide, independent oversight, pattern tracking. California passed similar legislation. A federal bill was introduced, gaining bipartisan support. Law schools now taught Loron versus Portland, cited in 23 federal cases challenging qualified immunity. A Netflix documentary, The Judge and the Hose, was in production, set for release next spring. Judge Loron returned to her chambers, hearing cases, making rulings, now more vocal than ever about systemic racism. At a National Bar Association keynote, she quoted Martin Luther King Jr., "Injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere." At home, she gardened again. It took 3 months. James installed sprinklers, no hoses, too triggering. Neighbors waved. Eleanor brought Sunday tea. One evening, on her porch as the sun set, Eleanor said, "You changed the world, Simone." Loron shook her head gently. "I just wanted to water my flowers. The world changed itself. It just needed a push." Her roses bloomed again, more vibrant than ever. The geraniums were bright red. Everything was growing back. People asked constantly, was it worth it? Her answer never changed. It was never about worth. It was about necessity. Whitmore saw a black woman and assumed powerless. Wrong. But I had advantages. Title, resources. How many don't? This victory belongs to everyone profiled, harassed, abused. To Eleanor, who spoke, Marcus, who recorded, Mills, who found his conscience, and to you. Change happens when ordinary people refuse to accept injustice, when they record, testify, demand better. Whitmore got 13 years. The system got reform. That's justice, not revenge, accountability, everyone's responsibility. If this moved you, act. Subscribe to Blacktail Stories for Justice Stories. Share this. Someone needs to see it. Comment. Have you witnessed injustice? What did you do? Every phone is a camera. Every citizen is a journalist. Every voice matters. Visit theloreninitiative.org. Download rights cards. Learn safe documentation. Find legal support. Final question. If you were there that morning, would you have filmed, spoken up like Eleanor, or looked away? Be honest, then be better. Justice needs all of us, not someday, today. What will you do next time you see injustice? Comment your answer, then live it. Justice is a verb. Act accordingly.